Hello, welcome to the Smartphone as an Access Key conference. My name is Dominika Gerychová and I work as a marketing specialist at ProID. Today's conference will be focused on the mobile phone as a security tool and key to enterprise data, the security of the data it contains, and also the prevention of security threats. Mobile is no longer used just to make calls and send messages, but also as a very powerful security tool that company employees can use on a daily basis. However, once the mobile phone becomes the key to sensitive information, it is essential to focus on its security and the prevention of security risks. Today, you'll hear several presentations from experts in the cybersecurity industry who will discuss trends in this area. They all have one element in common, and that is mobile security in enterprise environment. I would like to thank the partners of the event, which are Talsec, Sharry, and Quokka. During the conference, you will be able to ask questions and write comments in the chat. Depending on the remaining time, we will pick a few questions. The entire conference is being recorded and will be sent to all who have registered. So you will be able to listen back to anything you missed today. We already have more online conferences planned on mobile security, so be sure to follow our social networks. And now I would like to welcome the first speaker, my colleague Jiří Změlík from ProID, who is the sales manager. Hi Jiří, the floor is yours.
So, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you're watching us from. My name is Jiří Změlík, and I work in sales in the company based in Czech Republic called Monet Plus, that for last nearly 30 years has been an expert in securing digital identities as well as electronic payments. We have a solution that's called ProID, something we'll be talking about today, and a part of the solution is a multi-factor authentication tool where we use the smartphones. So maybe first just a few words about the platform itself. It's been up and running for more than 15 years, and nowadays it's been used on a daily basis by more than 150,000 daily users from more than 150,000 organizations. The platform itself is, as I said, securing identities. We could divide it into two areas. The first one, the one we'll be talking about today, is securing the identities of the workforce, so the employees, where we provide them a selection of multi-factor authentication tools, as well as solutions for electronic signing, sealing, and timestamping. The other part is dealing with the identities of the technological devices or technological units that are connected to the internet within the company's network. Out of the authentication methods that we have on offer, I would like to very briefly introduce the rest of them as well. So first of them is a typical smart card that I believe most of you are familiar with, which allows the users for the authentication as well as some contactless-based use cases. Then we have a solution that is based on a USB hardware token in combination with a special application. Then we have a solution that is stored securely in the TPM chip of the laptops, and that's basically virtualization of the smart card. What we will be talking about today is the smartphone authentication app that we call ProID Mobile. So what it is a tool that will secure the employee's identity by providing them a very seamless multi-factor authentication tool that will allow them to safely and securely logging into different kinds of systems and applications, and also will allow them to potentially electronically sign documents. The whole platform or the whole solution is using, wherever possible, the passwordless approach to the use cases, which basically means that the users are no longer in need of the use of the typical passwords or typical PIN numbers, because instead of that, they use the biometrics to perform such authentication. I look at this solution from two perspectives. The first one will basically fulfill some of the cybersecurity issues within the organization, which is good for the organization, obviously. And then from the employee point of view, it could be probably the first implementation that everybody will welcome with a good feedback, because it will not force them to do something extra to like prolong their passwords or reinvent them or something like that. Instead, it will offer them a solution that will unite authentication into many applications and many use cases, and basically completely drop off the passwords and just use biometrics. So we believe this would be one of the biggest benefits of the solution. But speaking about security, as we in ProID do take it seriously, we also have a special integrated extra security layer that we call the Talsec that is constantly monitoring the secure behavior of the app and the phone. But you will definitely hear more about Talsec later in the upcoming presentations. The ProID Mobile, the solution can be deployed as a service, so based on some monthly subscription fee that depends on the volume of the users, as well as on selected use cases. But if this would be required or welcomed at some stage, we're also able to deploy this solution completely as an on-premise environment of the customer. Last but not least, everything the ProID platform has been completely designed and developed by our specialists in Monet Plus, which is a good thing, because then we are in full control of the whole solution. We can easily develop it further. We could also listen to our customers' requirements and eventually add them into our typical roadmap for the whole product. So here you can see some of the options, how the user could authorize different kinds of requests. You can also see the app is obviously, of course, ready for both Android and iOS phones. And you can choose, or the user can choose from 3 different options. The first one, and very likely the most preferred one as well, is a typical push notification, so a mobile token that you are probably quite familiar with from, let's say, internet banking apps. And every single time the user receives a push notification, then he can see what the notification is about, and then after the authorization, the use case is successfully finished. We also have a solution that is offering a one-time password and or SMS. The difference between all these 3 is that the first one is requiring the user to be on the mobile data to be able to receive the push notification, and the communication with the computer or the laptop, the workstation itself, is happening with the help of the Bluetooth Low Energy. The OTP or SMS is able to work also if there is no internet connection available. If there is a new customer, we can always ask them what methods they would prefer. And good thing is that they can choose multiple methods. So, for example, to prefer the push notification, and in the event of the need, they could, for example, use the OTP. the main features of the app, you can see the general layout of the app on the right side, would be probably also one of those first things that each one of us is doing when we get to work, is to log in to our computers, to our operation systems. We're ready for all three you can see, Microsoft Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. And then we are also able to log into different kinds of VPNs. People are used to work from home on a regular basis. People are traveling a lot, and to make the logging to the VPN secure is extremely important. You can see some selections of VPNs that we're able to integrate within the application. And of course, there's loads more, but this is just for an example. Then throughout the day, for 100%, everybody's working with lots of different kinds of third-party applications. It could be, for example, Microsoft 365. It could be Google, or anything from the Atlassian family, or many other CRM or systems or document management systems. So we're able to integrate any of these applications with the help of the authentication protocols. But very likely, you're also maybe use some of custom applications that you have maybe developed by yourself, or have it custom developed by somebody else. But if these applications are also supporting these protocols, for us it's not a problem to integrate them within the portfolio of the use cases, and you can safely and securely log in these applications as well. A separate group would be some special applications that are used mainly by the admins. This is done usually through the Radius protocol, and definitely also adds another extra security layer to those applications where you normally just log in with the password and username. Last but definitely not least, we are able to provide to each of the users the possibility for electronic signature. So with the use of the smartphone, or eventually tablet, you can easily sign PDF documents on the go, which means that you don't necessarily have to be present at the workstation, like next to the laptop, but you can just be wherever you are, and once you know which document you want to sign, you receive again the push notification, authorize yourself, and the document is signed. Over here, I could show you, and I will show you, the complete flow of two examples. One being a secure logging into an application. It is very similar to the whole group of the use cases we offer, but over here I've chosen a secure logging into Microsoft Windows. So what happens when I start the computer and I see the logging screen? All I need to do is I choose to log in with the help of the smartphone, and in a sec I receive a push notification saying that I need to authorize this request that will make me securely logging to the operating system. It takes a little while to connect between the phone and the laptop, which I said is done with the help of the Bluetooth Low Energy. And I receive the full notification that I need to approve. As with all the use cases, I can always choose between a 6-digit PIN number or the use of the biometrics. But let's assume most of us will definitely go with the biometrics. So once I see this, it only takes a second and the login is successful, and I'm securely and successfully logged into my workstation. We can also connect it with some preferred third-party applications, and this could also work as a single sign-on. So once you logging into the computer, you could be, for example, securely logged in also to Microsoft 365. The second part, or the second example, is the electronic signing itself. So in the event I'm doing this on the computer, I need to log into some ProID portal where I easily drag and drop a PDF document and again wait a little while to receive the push notification saying this time it's going to be about remote signing. So once I open the notification, again I can check that it is concerning some electronic signature. I can also check the name of the document just to avoid some misunderstandings. And once I approve with the use, again, the biometrics or eventually the PIN number, in a second, I'm successfully managed to sign the document that gets immediately downloaded to my laptop. I can also see the signature at the top right corner. This could also be done. Directly on the phone. So this is the reason I don't have to be directly at my workplace, because I can log into the portal just with the use of the phone and then do the same thing, exactly the same, but the document will get downloaded onto my phone. We have a very nice feature, a security feature that we call a fallback scenario, which could be of interest of some, let's say, larger organizations, and it would secure secure connection in the event that for some reason there will be a breach of the internet connection, or maybe the internet will be completely unavailable. So usually, in this case, the authentication method would not work because obviously the ProID mobile is cloud-based. But in this case, we're able to install on-premise the module we call fallback TOTP module, which in this case will be calling directly with the Radius server and the admin applications and VPN. So if something like that happens, the admins would still be able to log into their admin apps in a multi-factor way. Some of the key features of our solutions could be divided into 3 areas. The first one would definitely be the security level, because this is what we accentuate the most. And you can see that, let's say, the 4 most important topics, security-related topics. So first of all the keys and certificates are stored securely in hardware security modules. I was already mentioning this runtime application self-protection security layer called Talsec that is managing the correct functionalities of the application and the phone. And good thing to be said is that none of the passwords are stored on the backend systems. So they all stored in some secure element in the phone. So even if somebody would like break in, like all the passwords are securely stored somewhere else. Regarding to supported technologies, wherever we can, we are using public key infrastructure. So the solution based on certification authorities issuing different kinds of certificates for different purposes. And then authentication protocols such as OpenID Connect, SAML 2.0, Auth2, and as well as the Radius protocol. From the flexibility point of view, I was already speaking about the fallback option. The whole solution is also available as a white label, probably more suitable for some of the larger organizations. And the option of, or the choice the installation deployment, whether that would be software as a service or on-premise installation within the customer's environment. Speaking about ProID Mobile, it's only one of the 4 authentication methods that we are offering in our ProID platform. And so maybe the customer throughout some time will get to some other needs that would require the use of different methods. So whether that would be a smart card, the hardware token Bitron, or the virtualization of the card in the TPM chip, we could offer some other solutions. These solutions can also be combined within one company, and also a single user could also use multiple tools. So, for example, we are using typically a smart card, but it is accompanied also by the ProID mobile solution. Business-wise, I was also talking about the support of custom applications that we can easily integrate within the portfolio of offered use cases. Definitely the possibility for to be able to electronically and remotely sign PDF documents, we believe is definitely adding on the value of the whole solution. And if you remember that slide with all those use cases that people could use it on a daily basis, you could probably imagine that there would be, let's say, 20, 30 tries throughout the day when the user will be in need of such application. Everything could be united under just one single solution, one single app that's installed in the phone that you're already carrying with you. So there's no more carrying of some extra devices for performing this multi-factor authentication. Service-wise, we're able to support our solution 24/7. We also have it in high availability. Maybe to show you also who is our typical customer, or what are the verticals we are aiming towards to. So healthcare is definitely one of the areas where we would consider ourselves as fairly strong. We work with a lot of hospitals and pharmaceutical organizations. There's fintech and telco areas where we'll also have some customers for many years, as well as within government, where we do projects for different kinds of ministries, over 30 towns in Czech Republic, regional authorities, and so on. Critical infrastructure is something that is also a great vertical for us, also because of the need, or very likely the need that the whole solution these organizations are using has to be installed on-premise. And as we can do this with the rest of the ProID platform as well, this is a great vertical for us to work about. The last area would be a typical manufacturing industry, where it could be anything from automotive and automation to army and space to food industry. It is an area that has been constantly developing and realizing the need of implementation of such services, such products. So this is also a very important customers for us. If somebody is interested into trying our product, all we need to do is to gather together the use cases and just build it up into the functional proof of concept, which only takes a little time. And then once we roll it out in the company for a selected amount of users, if everyone's happy with that, we can roll out the service easily for the rest of the users within the company. One of the last things I would like to point out, that we're also looking for some partners outside of Czech Republic. So if you think our product could be interesting, and no matter if you are a distributor or an IT integrator, please feel free to reach to us. We'll be very glad to discuss a potential business opportunity. Thank you very much. This is everything from me, and I'm passing my words back to Dominika.
Thank you, Jiří, and thank you for your excellent presentation. Now let's answer some questions from the chat. Let's pick the first one, and that is, what are the most important or typical use cases you start with the new customer?
Okay, I would say that the most typical use case would be the logging to operational systems, for sure, and probably followed by logging to different kinds of VPNs, either with the use of the Radius protocol, or if it supports public key infrastructure, then we always prefer to do it this way, because of the security being on the highest level. And I would say that also logging into the third-party applications is something that is, well, quite often asked for, and definitely will be up on the rise. Okay.
The next question is, do you prefer to use passwordless scenarios? Does your product support a passwordless approach?
Yes, I've mentioned this at the very beginning, but maybe not strong enough. So this is definitely an approach that we believe is the most important for us, because the user, I mean, like, you can easily imagine how many usernames and passwords is every single one of us is maintaining, and like trying to remember, and not to write somewhere under the keyboard or something like that. So wherever it is possible, we always try to use the passwordless principle. Maybe, for example, there's in the use case with the use of the Radius protocol, we are not able to do it 100% in a passwordless way, because it still requires to type in the username and password. But what we do as a next following step, we add again the push notification that is asking for the passwordless authentication.
Okay. The next question is, speaking about software as a service usage, is your cloud service ready for 24/7 running?
Yes, it is. We have a 24/7 service support, and as I said also, it is running in high availability mode.
Okay. And let's answer the last question. Could we install your application to end users through the mobile device management system?
Yes, this is definitely possible. So either the user could download it easily from the app stores, or it could be done with the help of the mobile device management, which I believe also would be the preferred method in case of the large customers.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for all the answers and presentation once again. And there will be now a short break, followed by a talk by Michal Čeřovský on how you can access your office just with a mobile phone. See you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, you are watching the Smartphone as an Access Key online conference. We have covered authentication and signing for workforce identity via mobile app from Jiří Změlík, and now Michal Čeřovský, COO and co-founder of Sharry, is sitting here next to me, and he's going to speak about how to access your office just with the mobile phone. Hello Michael, the floor is yours.
Hello Dominika, hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation. So my name is Michal Čeřovský. I'm COO and co-founder of Sharry. And in Sharry, we focus on how to access, we focus on the most convenient access to the commercial buildings or to the offices. So if I say access, I mean the physical security when you need to pass some barrier, which means the doors, the turnstiles, the elevators, parking gates, but even the lockers or the secure printing at your office. So looking at this nice lobby in Boston, if you want to go through that, you will probably use this plastic card. And I don't know how you have it, but me personally, I'm looking for this card all the time. So where I left it, in my trousers, in my jacket, in my car, or in the meeting room, where the hell it is. And I say, okay, I don't want to use it anymore. And you can get rid of it finally as well, because you can use your phone as an employee badge now. It's easy, it's private, and it's secure. So let's talk about the user experience, how easy it is. The first step in using the credential is how to get the credential. And if you have a plastic card, you need to go to take a photo, print the plastic card. Somebody has to put the plastic card to the access control system and give you some permissions. And if you have more those access control systems, like in the office, in the building, parking system, elevator system, it takes usually a few days when you get the access. With mobile access, it's super easy. You just download your company application, log in with company single sign-on, and just add your badge to the Apple Wallet. It's the same process as you probably did with your credit card or maybe the Metro card to the subway. It's super easy. And what is the technology behind? So the mobile credential is generated by some vendors who are creating those plastic cards as well. So for example, HID. And this mobile credential has to be pushed to all connected systems which you already have in the building or at the office. So probably it is at least one access control system. Probably two, because one is for the office and the second one is for the building, but also for the parking system, elevator system, and so on. We do this magic all behind, so user don't see anything from that, and in a minute, he is able to use this mobile credential, which is great. But what is the everyday usage, like everyday experience with the opening the doors? You may use some mobile credential before, and it worked like, okay, I have to open the application, choose the door, click to open, and in 2-3 seconds, the door were opened. Okay, that's good for a showcase, but not for a daily usage. But with Apple Wallet or NFC in Android phones, you can use it really as a plastic card. And I believe that video shows more than words. So I found this video from YouTuber Tech Team, who visited 167 Green, the new commercial building in Chicago. And he tried how it feels. What is the experience here? And as you can see, he downloaded the application, put the credential to the wallet, and then the experience is absolutely the same as a plastic card. He just take a phone, place it to the reader, it blink, and he can go. It's instant. It works every time with locked mobile phone. It is the same if you use a metro card in London or in New York. So it works in express mode with locked phone, and nothing more is necessary. And you can use it even with your watch. So this is the daily experience. And the best thing is that you will never forget your badge again, like me. And if you do, you would probably return back to home because you will need the phone for your work or after the work. But maybe the same experience is not enough. So there is also some extras you can get with your mobile credential. Because we combine it with the NFC technology with Bluetooth technology, you can open the doors from longer distance than really close distance as NFC. So for example, it's very good for parking, where you can open with a shaking gesture the parking barrier, and you don't need to park close to the reader, lean out from the window, and put your phone somewhere to the reader. You can also get some extra information when you pass or enter some specific zone. So regarding the building, it can be some news from the building, but it can be also some instructions how to behave in the space you just entered. And you can also use this information to the third-party systems, for example, as a check-in for a hybrid work, desk, or desking, and so on. So as I said, the user experience here is the same or better than a plastic card. And what about the security? Like, there is one sentence which says it all. If it's okay, if it's enough secure for your credit card, it's secure enough for your employee badge as well. It's saved in the secure element of iPhone, and it's super safe, I think the best on the market right now. And I'm talking still about the Apple Wallet, but the same technology is on the Google Wallet or Samsung Wallet, so you can use it on all platforms. You can also require some two-factor authentication if you have some spaces which are more secured, like data rooms, server rooms, maybe financial rooms, and so on. You would probably add a PIN code right now to the reader. Like there is a small keypad, and you have to type your PIN code. With a mobile, we can require the second authentication with face recognition or fingerprint. So once you place the phone to the reader, you will be required to show your face or fingerprint to prove that you are who you really are. Which is, again, a little bit safer than a PIN code, because I can share the PIN code with somebody else and borrow him a card, but I cannot share my face at the moment. So speaking about the processes, like the security is not just about the technology, but very often it's more about the processes. How we behave with the things like a small plastic card, how we lose it, how we borrow it to anyone else, to our wives, to our friends, and so on. And sometimes we have more of them, so we don't even know that we lost this card. With phones, it's different, because you won't probably borrow your phone to anybody else, and if so, you will be very prudent about where he goes with that. You probably lost your phone less frequently. Like the 20% of plastic cards are lost every year in the companies. But if you lost your phone, which can happen, you will realize that much more, far quicker than you lost your employee badge. And you can easily block it everywhere from your iCloud just to mark your phone or watches as lost, and it's immediately is blocked, and nobody else can use it or misuse it. Even if the device is offline, we are deleting these credentials from the connected system, from the access control system, parking system, elevator system, and so on. So the card, even if it's still in the phone, in case it's offline, the car is not working. So as I said, using the phones for a physical access, it's super secure and it's super easy. And finally, the user experience is good enough or better than a plastic card. So I think that it's time to use it right now. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Michael, for your presentation. Let's answer some questions from the chat. Let's pick the first one. Do you offer an SDK that we can use inside our application, or the correct way is to use your application?
So both options are possible. We do prefer a little bit to use our application because we have everything in control. But definitely, we also provide the SDK, and you can use it in your internal application or in the application as a ProID, for example, is. Because in the end, like, we are the plastic card, and ProID is the chip inside the card. So it makes sense to have it in one place. So even in ProID application, we are able to provide the SDK or vice versa, and offer this scenario, like full scope scenario. But we also provide it for some third parties, which are, for example, reservation systems. So if the company has own application for the reservations, for example, they can add our SDK to their application and generate the card from their SDK and call our API, and we will push and integrate, we will push the credentials to the connected systems.
Okay, thank you. I think it was answered in detail. And let's answer the next question. Can I use the watch only without a mobile phone for opening the door, or do I need the phone as well?
So you need a phone at the beginning. So to generate the card, you need a phone. But once you saved the badge to your watch, you can use only the watch. And you can leave your phone at home if you don't use it or you don't need it. It's absolutely OK. You can use only a watch, because there are different mobile credentials inside, so that the different card number and mobile credential is in watch and in phone. So you can use one of them, and you don't need the second device with you.
Okay, thank you for all the answers and for your presentation once again. And we will now take a short coffee break, during which we will change speakers, and then you can look forward to a presentation by Sergiy Yakymchuk. We would be happy if you could fill out the form that you received in your email and get a feedback from you. You can also find the link to the form in the chat. See you in a minute.
Thank you.
Greetings to all and welcome back after a short break to the Smartphone as an Access Key online conference. Earlier, we discussed the topic of easy access to the office via Apple credentials and your mobile phone. And now, I am joined by CEO of Talsec, Sergiy Yakymchuk, who will be talking about App Security SDK to get regulation compliance and combat mobile fraud. Good afternoon, Sergiy. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Dominika, and hello everybody. I'm here from Talsec. We are a mobile security company, mobile app security, and thank you for inviting me here and for opportunity to speak to such a great audience and with such a great speakers. So I was really excited to listen to guys who were speaking before me, and really looking forward to hear Ilya who will be speaking after me. And I would like to start from defining the domain of the theme of our conference as trends of mobile security, and start from app security, yes, because we are living now in apps world, and indeed it's happened during the last 5 years probably. All the business switched to mobile first approach, and today, if you look at statistics, it was even for me it was surprising that 80% of online time today people spend in apps, not in web browsers, not in classical apps, but in mobile apps. So the topic of protecting apps is really hot today, and indeed a lot of businesses look into this, and it turned to be pretty different from classical security that we used to deal with before, while we were protecting classical applications on the desktop. Then we were protecting web applications based on web browser. And now we are addressing the issues of mobile app security, which is very, very important. And as you've seen before, the solutions explained before me, and speakers explaining solutions before me, all of them are based on apps. And indeed, it is a kind of cornerstone of the security of enterprise today to ensure that app is protected on a sufficient level. And this is the domain where Talsec is playing, and we actually started as a classical software house. So we used to develop mobile apps for banks, for mobile banking apps, or e-government solutions. So we have quite a long experience of developing mobile banking apps. And we collected these competences and know-hows about how to deal with the security requirements and best practices. So we were repeatedly solving the same kind of issues. And recently, like 3 years back, we decided to productize this competence and to create a kind of set of SDKs and go global with this product and be a product company and push these solutions to the global audience and to wide developer communities. And this is what we started from, and it was beginning of the Talsec as a separate brand, Talsec journey, and it is really I'm happy to be part of this story. And we selected as a main value, or kind of our motto for the tools we produce is that to help our clients to win time, to help our users to win time while doing the features. We do everything possible to take the bother of protecting mobile apps and implementing security best practices for our clients, and this is what our SDK is about. So we created this solution to cover these problems, and one of the main problem why clients come to us is like, okay, we need to pass pen testing, okay, we need to comply with regulations or be OWASP compliant or something like that, or we have a mobile fraud or our app is being hacked or cloned or whatever, and we need to somehow deal with it. And this is what we helping our clients with. But back to the DNA of our products, like win time. So the main problem when we take it as a key value of Talsec to help to win time is that the products needs to be simple, and simplicity is our the kind of first element of our approach how we help our clients to win times. Our SDK needs to be simple to use and at the same time efficient enough. I'm not sure that Einstein was creating this quote. It's easy to complicate and hard to simplify, but I just like it, and I like this picture, and I like this quote, because it's really take us a lot of effort to simplify what we do and to make it really easy to use and efficient, so that our clients can really win time with our products, not to bother, not to be overwhelmed with different type of features. And indeed, another aspect of this simplicity is actually minimization. So we need to think twice what we do, what features we introduce, and do only necessary things. Only exploitable attack vectors need to be addressed. We are really trying to avoid theoretical security. So we really try to stay on a practical part of this game. So we really address the problems that are really exploitable, yeah, and the problems that are really needed by our clients. And this is a picture I drew it recently because I didn't find the public picture for this joke. Like, it is actually explaining the engineering bias. So we as engineers really tend to, we love do features, we love security, we love theory, we love our job. But it really often leads us to doing something we want to do, or we have a good tool to do, and not something what attackers use to exploit to hack the app. So we really keep an eye on doing necessary things. And how we approach it is actually with the help of community. So the first thing we did when we started to do the mobile security SDK, we created a freemium version of our SDK. And currently we're experiencing really hype of usage and onboarding of new clients who try and use free RASP, which is a name of the tool for which can be used for free. And it's a good start to familiarize with technology, to understand how it works, what features are, like it's basic features only, but what is available for free. And it has, of course, some limitations and some fair usage policy, but it is really good start. And it really helps us a lot to identify what is really necessary, what is expected by market, and what is where the problems are actually. So because we have hundreds and hundreds of different implementations from over the globe of different type of apps, from different use cases, whatever come to your mind. And it really opened us eyes on a lot of topics and keep us be really pragmatic. Another source of inspiration, let's say, what to do and what not to do is actually OWASP Top 10 or OWASP Mass standards. Today we really appreciate it and really support it and contribute it, try to contribute it as much as we can. And we have also our own hot topics that we believe important to cover, which may be not part of the Mass today, but needs to be included. We ended up actually to have three components, three main elements that we provide to our clients today to address these main issues. This is RASP, this is AppEncrypt technology. This is something we won cybersecurity trophy about. It's our innovation. We're really proud about it. I will talk about it a bit later. And mobile app hardening suite. So these three elements that I will explain one by one, try to be quick and try to stay on the simple side of not to go very deep in technology. So RASP is it stands for Runtime App Self-Protection. It is a technology which actually makes your app aware about execution environment and state of the security and integrity of execution environment. It verifies if the operating system is rooted or not. It verifies the different type of security features enabled or disabled in the phone, like biometrics, like hardware back keychain. It verifies if it's running, if app is running in emulator, it's running in debugger, or it is like app is just tampered and it's like clone of your app, and et cetera, or it is installed from wrong installation source. It's like if it's installed from USB. So a lot of dozens and different controls that your app can become aware about, and the reaction or counteraction can be taken by SDK or by the app itself. Also, what it does is sending the signals or logging to database, which is under control of the client. It's not our web service. It's our clients who control it for premium plans of Talsec. And this is actually providing clients the monitoring possibilities and auditing possibilities of the state of the security of the apps, instances on the fields. The second part of second SDK or component that we offer to address the app security issues is AppEcrypt. This is in turn the way how your backend can be aware of the state of the app protection, not app itself, but backend. So now your backend can know that he's talking to the clone, or he's talking to scripts, not to your app. So it's actually something that prevents the app impersonation. There are a set of different cryptography, a mix of cryptography and other kind of black magic of security that we invented that actually prevent your app from your API to be somehow impersonated using some scripts, botnets, fake registration uses, and whatever can come to your mind. So actually, it filters out majority of different problems. And if we look, for example, on a classical approach, how we protect API today, it is usually rely on authentication, and like we heard some from ProID, for example, how authentication works, how it can be implemented with the help of biometrics, second factor. A lot of nice features and very important features can be implemented. But at the end of the authentication, what happens is that your app gets authentication token, which has validity time. And this is a place where a lot of exploit happens. So if you look at the statistics of API abuse, or how the API exploits happens, that we see that 95% of them are happening through the authenticated API. It means the authentication token was successfully received somehow, and then just misused by some scripts, by some manual experiments of attackers and whatever. And nothing can help against it, even if it's AppCheck or a safety net. All these tools are still rely on kind of token which has validity. And this is actually where it is a gap that AppEcrypt can successfully cover and mitigate majority of these problems. And this is actually really, really powerful tool today, and we're really proud for this innovation. It works. On the next slide, I can show you how it actually depicts how the filtering works. So it's depicting how the malicious traffic which is coming to your API can be just filtered out from the by applying AppEcrypt technology. So your backend just know that he's talking to wrong client. So it's kind of zero trust concept which is implemented for end users use case or mobile use case. So this is more or less what is happening with AppEcrypt. And now I would like to talk a little bit about the third element of our security, let's say, third pillar of our security offer, app security offer. We call it Talsec hardening SDK. The first part of it is dynamic TLS spinning. This is something which is really must-have today. I mean, TLS spinning must-have. So any app which considered to be secure really have to implement some sort of TLS spinning, because man-in-the-middle attack is not gone. It's still possible to fall to this trap by using like malicious VPN, by compromising the operating system of the device or of the phone, but this or another way, using the malicious routers like Wi-Fi or something like that. It is still possible, and pinning is important. The advantage of dynamic TLS pinning that we offer is actually, again, it is a win time and simplification for developers, which don't need to reissue the app every time when the TLS certificate expires or then the certification authority changes. So this is really very well appreciated by our community, and we have very good feedbacks about it. So another portion of features which we have in this hardening SDK is app data encryption, how we call it. It consists of 3 different elements. First is string encryption, or app string encryption. This is a feature which helps developer to hide or kind of vault the secrets they need for the app to function to our SDK during provisioning. It's like API keys or endpoints or whatever codes, whatever, which developer consider as sensitive string can be vaulted in our SDK. Another type of app data encryption is just something like secure storage. So when you need to store securely some preferences of the app, or cache of the user data, user profile data, or whatever, or even API tokens, or something like Java Web Tokens, which you need to store between sessions of the app that you need to use, like into shared preferences or in the local storage. So we can just encrypt it and decrypt it at runtime using our SDK. And the third element of it is kind of lightweight end-to-end encryption technology. So it's really something which helps you to implement your own application layer encryption on top of TLS. So something that helps developer to really encrypt the sensitive content which is crawling back and forth between backend and the app. And it's actually a very good feature to protect against evil admin attack. When you need to protect the content which is running behind the TLS gateway, which make the sensitive content exposed to everybody who has access to backend environment, or which can be logged to some between microservices on some messaging buses or whatever. So there are a lot of places where data can be leaked in modern backend infrastructure, which is usually very heterogeneous and complex. So end-to-end encryption component becomes very important if you want to mitigate the evil admin problem. Yeah, so I'm coming to close to the end. So to wrap it a little bit, so our commercial products are available in subscription model. So our SDK is available as subscription. Usually it is yearly subscription. It includes these 3 elements plus 1 additional service which we provide on top to our clients. Usually it is penetration testing, when we do internal penetration testing to help our clients to address, to prepare to external pen testing, to help our clients to build security roadmaps, to pinpoint the vulnerabilities or weak parts which we can recommend or provide kind of advisory service to our clients to address in the next phase, or kind of to build a security roadmap, if I simplify that. What is important also to mention is that we are starting now our partner program, so it is actually interesting opportunity for software houses or for system integrators who actually build more than 2-3 apps a year, and it has a very interesting and attractive pricing approach, and at the same time you can build like a security baseline for all apps you do, so you pay less and your clients can benefit from all of the security by design, because for software houses or for software agencies it is usually the challenge that clients actually expect app to be protected out of the box. So they don't want to bother to buy additional security products, which are usually quite expensive, and because they just expect software vendor supposed to cover it. And this is where we can help such vendors which produce many apps. That's basically it. I just invite you to visit our website if you have further questions, and contact us. There is contacts to me directly even. And maybe there are some questions, if any.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation and your sharing your expertise with us. And let's take a look at what the audience is interested in. The first question is, we are an SDK vendor. Can your SDK work inside your SDK and protect the app of your client, our client?
Yeah, a good question. I didn't put it to the slides, but it's really one of our competitive advantage, actually. We have a special features which enable SDK vendors to publish their SDK incorporated to many hundreds of different apps. We have clients which sell their SDK to thousands of apps. And usual approach of kind of RASP vendors is that every app is somehow wrapped individually or built individually. Our SDK is capable to address this, and without contacting us a lot, our client can protect the apps they do or the SDKs they do. It's actually relevant for both cases, for vendors who produce white label apps. So there is a possibility how they can incorporate the SDK to apps they build, and for SDK vendors as well. So simple answer is yes, it is possible, and it is one of our target segments. So if you are SDK vendor or white label app developer, just look carefully to our offer and contact us, because it should be really interesting for you.
Okay, thank you both for the detailed answer and short version. And let's see, what is the next question? Is your product able to recognize that the application is installed from an untrusted source?
Yes. Again, simple answer is yes. When you configure the SDK, you can specify explicitly which app stores you believe is target one. And okay, all the other source of installations will be considered as a threat event. We have clients which, for example, install their apps through the special stores from mobile operators, for example, which are very specific to the country and unknown. And it is possible to configure explicitly which app store can be taken as trusted. Mm-hmm. So yes.
Okay. Let's see the next question. Do you have an experience with mobile game development? If yes, what are the recommendations and best practices to protect mobile games?
It is actually a good topic for dedicated webinar. Probably next we do for gaming industry, because we can talk whole hour only about what is possible and what problems are actually relevant for game developers, and there are really plenty of them, because for them it is life or death actually topic. We have experience with helping our client to protect games where the attackers had such a huge power influencing the API of the game, especially when we talk about online game. It is one problem. Yeah? So when the app impersonation become really critical, and for this game type of games, the AppEncrypt is really life-saver, because there's huge problems how the attackers can influence, in a bad way, influence the gaming ecosystem and economy, especially if there is economy, how the like game emulators or fake registrations can produce and collect some bonuses or develop fake artifacts or personas which can be then sold, and etc. How the scripts can influence. So, and this is something which AppEncrypt can help. And another type of issues when game developers need to protect assets like machine learning models, or protect data inside the phone and prevent users root device and experiment with data accessible. So yes, there are plenty of things that our SDK is helpful about, and I believe we will create a dedicated session just for this topic. So thank you for the question, very interesting one.
Okay, I think we answered all the questions. So thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. And now it's time for a short break. We'll be back shortly after we switch speakers. Next up, we have an exciting talk by Ilya Dreytser on proactive mobile fleet protection. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Smartphone as an Access Key online conference. We have one last talk ahead of us, which will be a bit different from the previous ones, not only in topic, but also in the way we interact with the presenter. Joining us online from Boston is Ilya Dreytser, who will be speaking on proactive mobile fleet protection. Hello, Ilya. I'm handing the floor over to you.
Thank you very much, Dominika. Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting us here. Glad to share the virtual stage with our fine presenters. And for the last presentation today, really wanted to cover the risks that mobile devices and specifically the apps that we have pose to us as users of mobile phones and, of course, to the enterprises. And I think you've already heard from 3 excellent solutions that make sure that the right person is using the device, that make sure that the device can access the company resources securely, and making sure that the participating apps are secured, whether those are gaming apps like we just talked about with Sergiy or other apps. But what if the device itself is compromised? So corporate data could be stolen by malicious apps on the device, or the device could be used to listen or to watch, right? Valuable information could be leaked. It could be an accident from some poorly built apps, or of course it could be malicious. So if the device itself is compromised, then a lot of the underlying apps, whether those apps are accessing or giving you access to things or just have your personal information on it, become questionable. So how can a device get compromised? Well, of course, there are many ways that a device could get compromised, but the biggest attack vector is through the applications. There are system applications which the phone vendors put on the device to do things like give you Bluetooth or the little helper widgets or just pre-installed applications written by, a Samsung, for example, right? And there are the apps that we all have. On average, an average phone has about 200 apps on it. So what are the risks with those mobile apps? Well, you've probably seen TikTok in the news at this point. And the point that I would like to make is TikTok is just one app, and we already know about it. But actually, there's multiple articles just like this one, just in the last year, and pretty much every year, where Google has to go in and remove some apps which are in the Play Store, which is the official Play Store for all of us to use, right? And they have problems. They have adware, they have malware, they have issues. And Google is not alone. Apple also occasionally removes apps from the App Store. So the point here is that the mobile apps, whether they're poorly written or malicious, they have the ability to compromise pretty much everything else on our entire device. And what can we do about this? So just one quick point about our background. For the last 10 to 12 years, we've been building various technologies to discover some of these vulnerabilities in mobile apps. And again, those could be mobile apps that are shipped with the device, or they could be installed from the App Store or sideloaded from some untrusted sources. And actually, we have reported over 200 CVEs, which are the vulnerability disclosures to MITRE, right? And we're here to really solve this problem in 3 different ways. So in the past 3 months, just from January to March, we have analyzed almost 14,000 unique applications on the Apple and Google stores. And we have done 42,000 scans because, of course, these apps are getting updated. So if you think of how often changes are introduced to these mobile apps, it's actually quite frequent. And of course, the expectation is that these changes are improving the performance of the app or fixing bugs. And the reality is that occasionally they will also create a problem. So when we look across this almost 14,000 unique apps in the App Store that have been updated in the last 3 months, pretty clearly there's some things wrong with them, right? We scan more Android than iOS apps, so the numbers are a little bit skewed, but both platforms actually have some issues that are either critical or high risk as determined by the standards like OWASP Top 10 and some of the other standards that you'll see in a minute. So a lot of the apps that are in the App Store actually have some level of risk. And if you want to look at, what are the top 3, 4, 5, 6 risks on these devices, on these apps, for Android, actually, the first problem is that we see most commonly is applications which ask for too many permissions. For example, we once encountered a mobile app for children that helps them brush their teeth. So you take the phone into the bathroom, you put on a timer, a little video plays that teaches the child how to brush their teeth. why is that asking for camera access? That app should not have camera, probably should not have microphone access. So these mobile apps, whether it's, again, whether it's a mistake or it's malicious, but the apps are asking for too many permissions. And so any of those apps, if they're ever compromised, then that opens up anybody to use those same device sensors, right? Like camera and microphone. And it's not as much as we could be. And as you can see here, there's other problems, right? No device data at rest encryption, loading external things, or messing around with the SSL certificates, which creates, potentially man-in-the-middle attacks. And Apple has problems too. In fact, their top two problems have to do with not using the technology that the iOS natively provides in order to ensure security, right? So keychain protection and the memory protections. And RASP not detected is in here as well. And accessing photos or videos or camera is, again, one of the highest rated problems. And this is why there is a lot of risk, actually, even if you're downloading the apps from the official app store, and this is why occasionally they have to pull them. So how can we solve these risks, or what can we end up doing against these risks? Well, like most things with security is all about layers, right? You kind of provide several layers. So the first layer is developers, right? The whole point of Talsec, the whole point of having a RASP is for a developer to integrate it into their app and make it secure. So developer organizations need to do two things. One is they need to actually use these tools that are available on the market in order to create secure apps. And number two, they need to have something that can actually validate that their security is baked into the product. So did the developers do it correctly? Because again, if you're updating the app every 2 weeks, there's a lot of potential to make a mistake. And so Quokka's service, we call it QMAS, the Mobile Application Security Testing. And the QMAS product is for developers and creators of applications. And I say creators because a lot of times folks think, oh, I have a third party making the app for me, so I don't have to worry about checking its security. But whose company is selling the app, right? Even if a third party makes the app for you, if they did not take security into consideration, guess whose logo is on the app? So our solution is something that developers and app creator companies can use to identify vulnerabilities or privacy risks in iOS and Android apps. And of course, it's compliant with some of the leading security standards like the OWASP Top 10, the MASVS, GDPR for privacy is big and growing, and a few other ones used by various governments. We perform various kinds of analysis on the app binary, and ultimately the whole thing can be integrated into the developer workflow. So if my background is in software development, so to me, this is second nature. But if you're not familiar, the standard software development workflow these days is CI/CD, basically continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? So every time you push a new version to the App Store, was it checked for security concerns? Were all the controls properly done? So that's what our solution is for developers. And it might look like something like this. This is a real app that we scanned. And as you can see, what we're highlighting here is that this app is using hard-coded credentials for secure operations. There's a few other things wrong with it. It wants a lot of permissions, and it integrates with ad and social networks, and it does not have a RASP indeed. So it does not check properly for trusted environment. But as a developer, the platform provides specific remediation advice. It maps the issue against the regulations, which again is OWASP and a few others, and the common weakness enumeration number at the top there, and the CVSS score. And it shows all of the details that a developer would have to know in order to fix this problem. So the first line of defense really has to be the developers that make these apps in the first place. But of course, as you just saw from a previous slide, many developers end up putting apps out with no RASP, with no security, and so they have issues. So you can't just trust the developers. So the second line of defense would be creating a private app store. And so we see this all the time in the medical field, in the government field, in some of the financial industries where there is a specific list of apps that employees or partners or military personnel are allowed to use on their own mobile devices. And these apps have been vetted by a tool like this that can show you whether these apps are safe and secure. So our solution for that is QVet, and it's all about vetting third-party applications, which we can pull right out of the App Store. So again, real example here with some actual apps that have some actual problems. And this is what it might look like to an auditor or to somebody who is vetting these apps. You can actually dig in and look at how these apps would do on an OWASP MASVS audit, for example, or some of the NIAP capabilities, right? So very clearly, you can pull up any of these third-party apps that are being considered for use by the employees in the organization or by the partners or even military personnel and see if they comply with these standards. And if not, dig into the details of why not. So in this one, it uses hard-coded credentials for secure operation. We see that evidence. And so this is not something that's going to pass the MASVS standard. In fact, in the US, we've been working with the US government for many years. We also work with some of the international governments as well. We have a presence in the UK, Switzerland, in Asia Pacific, out of Singapore and Taiwan. So we work with not just the United States government, but the Taiwan government and various other regulatory bodies in Europe and APAC. And so, the story is always the same. If you were to vet a bunch of applications that are being considered for use by the employees, naturally, some of them would contain flaws, some of which might be critical, and you don't know until you look. That's the message. So in the United States, for example, the CISA, the Infrastructure Security Agency, has created this whole program where we are vetting over 20,000 applications from the App Store, looking for potential issues or potential privacy concerns that would make them not acceptable for some of the government folks. And that applies, of course, in finance and some of the other sectors. And then the last line of defense really rests with us. And this is the new exciting thing that we want to show off to everybody who's attending today. So as an individual, I have a mobile phone, and my wife has a mobile phone. I'm sure you all have mobile phones, and those phones have apps. And again, it's about 200 apps roughly on an average device these days, and they're all developed by different folks with different abilities. So how can we secure our devices without giving up our privacy? What I would like, and this is why I joined Quokka, in fact, I would like a way to protect myself from vulnerabilities or weaknesses in these mobile apps, but I want to make sure that my privacy is respected and that I'm not just, opening up my phone to my management or my company or my organization and saying, you're allowed to see anything and everything on my device, which is actually my own device. I don't want that. But I want the user, so me, to be in control of my own device. And this is entirely true for me or for any of us as individuals, as well as being members of a fleet of employee devices. And employees, some folks have organizations that use MDM, so the devices are managed. And some organizations allow BYOD, or bring your own device. And then the devices are unmanaged. But either way, you'd like to control this and protect yourself from the risk of these various mobile apps. And that's what we do. So QScout is this app. It's actually available in the App Store or the Google Play Store for free. And QScout protects you from risky apps, right? So if you have apps on your phone that you don't know, but actually they're exposing your private data, or maybe they can leak your login credentials. Maybe they contain vulnerabilities that can be exploited. Maybe they have too many permissions and they can make phone calls or send SMS messages without your knowledge, right? So QScout protects you from these apps, shows you what new risks are found and lets you resolve them, maybe by changing the permissions or maybe by actually removing the apps. And speaking of permissions, again, I think we all know that every time you install an app, or even when you update an app, sometimes it asks you for permission to use the microphone or for permission to get your location. And that's fine. but I have 200 apps on my phone. I'm not, checking those permissions every day or every week to make sure that they're correct. So what QScout does is it helps you audit your permissions by showing you which mobile apps actually can use the camera or can make phone calls or can use your microphone. And then you can go and check those permissions. So it becomes much more realistic that you will actually go and, check and set those permissions. And the third way that QScout really helps is by blocking unwanted communications, right? So think about all of the, if you have kids, they have games. Most of those games are free, which means they serve you ads. If we have business applications that are free, probably they're serving us ads. And so those ad networks are getting a lot of data from us. And of course, they all say that it's anonymous data. But when you collect that much data, it becomes very easy to de-anonymize someone. And, I think we've seen in the news recently where reporters will go out to various, remote locations and, with military conflicts or with political issues, and they're found or they are tracked. And so even though the data is anonymized, of course, you can actually get your hands on it. You can actually de-anonymize the data. So blocking the ad networks or the social media networks or even entire countries, or maybe just certain domains, right? Blocking that data without disabling or just, uninstalling the app gives us some assurances that at least the bad guys are not getting our data. And also, it can prevent phishing attacks by, again, identifying and blocking certain sites that, are actually malicious. And so these are the three main ways that this application protects me as an individual. Now, I, as a member of a company, the enterprise portal is what our IT folks want, right? So any company that has to manage a fleet of devices, again, whether they're corporate provided devices or they're individuals' own devices, they need a way to manage it. And enterprises want to set some risk policies and requirements, and they want to block devices which are not compliant. So you've seen earlier with ProID where you can use your mobile phone in order to log into various company resources, right? Your email or your file share. You can obviously use Sharry to get into the office. So if your mobile phone is compromised or can potentially be compromised, maybe you should not be able to actually use those things until you fix the problem, right? And that's something that the enterprise portal provides, but it protects the user's privacy. So the users, the admins of this portal can set policies and can set requirements, but they don't see all the apps that are on my phone. And they don't get to monitor my text messages or my pictures or any of the traffic. And because of that, it's very easy to configure and install, and it's also very quiet, right? There's no concept of alerts going out to the users of this enterprise portal and they have to do something. No, we as individuals will get alerts on our phones that say, hey, this app can lead to a compromise, or this app has a vulnerability. The enterprise does not want you to use this mobile phone for work stuff until you fix that. But the privacy is respected while at the same time the control remains in the hands of the user. And if you're familiar with the concept of mobile device management, we are now offering this QScout Personal Device Manager, or PDM. It's basically all of the security benefits of an MDM, which is a mobile device management system, right? Think like Microsoft Intune or Mobile Iron or AirWatch, if you're familiar with any of those. And there's a lot of new players in the market these days. But those are devices, as you'll see, that are platforms rather that manage the device. We're offering all the highlights of being able to manage the device with none of the privacy concerns and easy to set up because it's delivered as software as a service. So traditionally, mobile device management systems are really good at managing the devices. If you tell them which apps to block, they will block those apps. But the MDM has no intelligence of its own to understand which mobile apps should be blocked. So like I said in the beginning, we've all heard about TikTok. Okay, we can have the MDM block TikTok. But there's 10 alternatives, that we've been working on this list actually of finding alternatives to TikTok and looking at what they're doing. They're not any better. Actually, some of them are worse. And on the other side, you have MTD, or mobile threat defense. These are real-time threat defense systems that actually are pretty resource intensive and battery intensive. They sit on the device and they monitor all of the traffic. And they're looking for vulnerabilities or they're looking for exploits as they happen in real time, and then they block them. So what we've done with QScout is created this middle ground where you can have some of the benefits of the MDM without the downside of it being fully corporate controlled, and you can have some of the benefits of the MTD without the privacy implications of somebody getting access to all of your traffic. And what we're providing you is that app security intelligence and the zero trust policy enforcement wrapped in a nice, neat package that's actually is there to protect you, the user, and it's not giving up your privacy. So the QScout PDM, it offers these very important features that enterprises want. You can manage the corporate apps and make them available to your users. You can have a secure container for those managed apps. You can actually wipe the container if the device is lost or stolen, which is very important. And the users are still in control, right? The users can choose which corporate apps they're going to install to get their job done. So if a corporation wants to push out Sharry as your way to get into the office, then they can do that. And they can have it in a secure container, and they can actually remove access to it if the device is stolen. But again, the privacy is respected. So the administration or the enterprise does not see any of the details of what you have on your phone, and the user activity is not being tracked or reported. And in addition to all that, it can offer these app risk profiles so that if your device has applications that have vulnerabilities, then the PDM will block your access to the managed app container until you choose to remedy the situation. So just to summarize what we talked about, it always starts with the developers, of course. If the developers across the world all went and got Talsec, then that would certainly solve the problem. Unfortunately, they have not yet all bought, and therefore we should do something either as an organization or even as individuals to protect ourselves, our employees, our colleagues from these security vulnerabilities. And that is how we layer security. And if you are interested in an actual demo of these solutions or a proof of concept, or if you just have any questions, please feel free to check out our website, email sales. That's probably the best way to go. Again, we are in the UK, in Europe, in Switzerland. We're also in the APAC region, in Singapore and Taiwan, and also in the United States. So we'd love to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ilya, very much for sharing your insights and expertise with us. And now let's see what the audience is interested in. Someone is asking if it's possible to try your tool for free.
Yeah, the QScout app is in Google Play and Apple iOS store, so feel free to try that for free. It's Q-Scout. Take a look.
Okay, and the next question is it possible that the developer himself doesn't know where his application is sending data?
It is entirely possible. There are a lot of SDKs that as a developer, we want to not reinvent the wheel, right? If there's already a library that does something for me, I might want to use it, but we don't look at the details of each of those things. And so Quokka does identify where the data goes, and it gives the developers an easy way to make sure that it's not going to a foreign country that is on the block list or somewhere else that they're not aware of. But it is actually something that happens all the time. It was in my list of most commonly seen problems in apps in the App Store.
Okay, I don't see any more questions, so I think we answered them all. Thank you very much once again for the presentation and the answers. And I would like to thank all the viewers for their interest and comments. If you missed anything today, you will be able to watch the recording of the conference, which will be sent to your email within the next week. We would appreciate it if you could fill out the form so that we can have feedback from you. The link is available in the chat or in your email. And we already have more online conferences planned on mobile security, so be sure to follow our social networks. I hope you all enjoyed the online conference, and we look forward to seeing you soon again. Bye.